Hi friends, and welcome to the next video. In this video, we're going to be talking about high performance practice. Now, you might have heard me talk about this before. It's something I called third eye practice. Now, you know what the third eye is. It's the part of your brain, let's say, that allows you to visualize, okay? If you see the red dot, and people from India, they have this red dot or markings on their forehead right there. That's supposed to be the eye that takes you to the next world, that allows you to visualize, that allows you to be more profound, let's say. Okay, so without getting into too much detail about that, I just want to tell you, I am not a neuroscientist, okay, obviously, but I am what I consider to be an expert, let's say, in high performance drumming, okay? Let's say high performance. Now, what does it take to get really good at something? Obviously, you know, you have this 10,000 hour theory, and everybody says, you know, practice makes perfect and all that stuff. But the devil is in the details, right? A lot of people like to say, you know, oh, you got to practice, but there's no detail in that. You obviously need to have a practice system, right? But there's also a lot more you have to realize about practicing and getting to a level that's completely outstanding, okay? Now, there is a guy on YouTube who makes a lot of sense. Dr. Huberman, I'm sure maybe you have seen him on YouTube, but the things that he talks about are things that we musicians have known for decades before the science proved it, okay? And that has to do with visualization and learning. Okay, now, I heard him say it in a way that's very scientific and very accurate. So I like to use some of that language to get into it. But first, I want to say, I want to tell you the way that I always use this thing. Now, third eye practicing is when you visualize what you're doing in your mind's eye. Basically, that's it. So what happens? The actions that you take become stronger because of the visualization. I mean, you know, it's nothing new. Golfers use this, many athletes use this. They, basketball players, you know, they visualize the ball going into the net, and golf players, they visualize the perfect swing and all that stuff. So any high performance athlete is going to tell you that this stuff is absolutely necessary. So what I do, when I'm learning something that's very difficult or something new, I use my third eye, let's say, to put myself at whatever level I'm working on, all right? So, for example, if I have a really difficult hi-hat pattern or something that takes a lot of independence, or I'm working on a technique that requires a lot of concentration, then I'll put my mind's eye like right on my wrist, okay? And I'll visualize my wrist. I'll visualize, you know, this part of my arm and how the hand is moving and all the relaxation needed. And I picture my hand doing it the way I want it done, the speed, the volume, everything. I visualize that, okay? So that the performance of it is enhanced. Okay, if I'm working on something on my hi-hat foot or a bass drum pedal, I'll put my mind's eye, you know, I'll take my vision down to the pedal, and I'll see my foot, you know, moving, I'll see the pedal moving, I'll see the bass drum head reacting, I'll see everything down there, so that I get a very clear picture in my mind of what's going on. The speed, the volume, everything that I want has to be in my mind. If I'm working on something on the right or the left hand, the same. I'll put my mind's eye on my left hand. You can try this, you know, if you put your eye like right on your left hand, like do something like this, you know, that's when you get a picture. You'll get a picture of what it might look like. and then put the stick in your hand and watch the stick react in your hand and visualize it all very clearly, okay? That's going to help you accomplish these difficult tasks that you need to do. Now, Dr. Huberman had a slightly different vocabulary about this, okay? Now, there's something he calls developmental passive plasticity, okay, in the brain, which means the things that you learn from daily life just interacting with the world, okay? This also can be applied to drumming, all right? If you, for example, watch a great player and watch him play and absorb that information by osmosis, you know, they say that you get better. The more you watch other people do it, the more you get better at that particular task. You know, we've known that for a long, long time, musicians. That's why we go check out other musicians, check out drummers. Now, there's another thing called adult neuroplasticity. Adult-directed neuroplasticity, which is your ability to learn while doing. So that's actually practicing for musicians, okay? That means you practice and you create these advances in your brain. So these two things, Dr. Huberman says, can be combined when you are younger. But I truly believe that as a musician, you can combine both of these things even when you get older. And it's almost like essential, right? And any form of art, any input you receive can then be, let's say, duplicated and then innovated, all right? So those two forms of neuroplasticity is something that, you know, we can use and we must use to get ourselves to a very, very high level. So I think one of the first things to do is to realize what's going on, though, okay? We have to realize it, and we have to understand that what science has proven, we've been doing for a long time as musicians, okay? Now, another thing that Dr. Huberman says is you need focused, dedicated attention to the task that you're doing, or else it's never going to work. You know, you can visualize till you're blue in the face, but it's not going to work unless you put focused, dedicated attention into the actual doing, okay? Of course, it makes total sense, but if you are already at a certain level, then you can use visualization to enhance what you're already doing. There's a very, very good example is Changito. I don't know if you know Changito, Cuban drummer, one of my favorite drummers, master drummer from Cuba. And at a clinic, I was at a clinic of his, and he says that sometimes he didn't have any gear because he didn't have access to gear in Cuba, you know. So what he did was visualize himself playing. Amazingly, this works, okay? It works also in medical patients who have, for example, if there's an example by Dr. Huberman again, a tennis player who injured himself, couldn't play for 3 months, and used visualization to keep himself in shape, okay, while recovering in the hospital. So it's the same thing with music. If you're away from the kit, visualize yourself doing whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and it is greatly enhanced, okay, by this visualization. Now, another thing that I'm reading my notes here because this is so extensive, you know. Another thing Dr. Huberman says is that when you're in this state of learning, your brain creates a sense of discomfort, okay? Agitation and frustration, he calls it. So this is, of course, something we all know. As drummers, you're trying to learn something and you get this agitated frustration feeling that you can't do it, okay? It's very common. We've all seen those those videos of the guitar player guy's trying to do something and he curses out his fingers and his hands when he can't do it, right? It's pretty funny. But that means that you're in the correct state for learning. Your brain is preparing to change your behavior, to modify, or whatever it needs to modify for you to be able to execute the things that you need to execute, okay? He also says that sleep is a tremendous, tremendous tool that you will need to let all this information sink in, okay? If you don't get enough sleep, we all know what happens, right? Now, back in the day, when I was, really studying hard, we used to do this thing called shock your body practicing as well, which meant, I mean, I've talked about this in another video, which meant that you basically practice until you drop, of course, using a practice system, right? Practice, practice, practice as many hours as you can keep it up. When you can't take it anymore, you sleep right next to the kit. Put a pillow down or whatever, sleep next to the kit, set your alarm for 1 hour, alarm goes off, you get up, the first thing you do is do that exercise again and play until you can't go on. Sometimes, I swear to God, my hands would be moving and I would fall asleep for like 3 seconds and then I'd wake up, oh my God, and my body was still playing, okay? That is amazing. That means your body is absorbing the information. Now, this is really extreme, and you better be careful because, I've seen some bad things happen with that too. So one guy got really ill and we were doing this stuff, and anyway, that's a whole other story, but you have to be careful if you're doing shock your body practicing. But it's something that I did a lot, and, to me it helped. Dr. Huberman would probably say I'm crazy for doing that, but it's something that I believe when you're really in the heat of the battle, trying to learn some new material, that's something you need to do. Like I said, when I was working on a certain material, I would do that all the time. There's times that I didn't even go home. I would sleep in my practice studio next to the kit, okay, and then wake up. I didn't even know what time it was because I didn't have any windows or nothing. I would just wake up and start playing until I could no longer play. Of course, using my practice system the whole time and trying to drink water and staying healthy as much as possible. But, I think that this is something you really, really need to think about if you want to get to a very high performance level. Now, another thing that's interesting, which Huberman's study said, is that he called it long-term depression. Now, it's not what it sounds like, okay? What it means is that as you gain certain skills, your brain suppresses other skills. For example, we all know this. On a psychological kind of level, let's say, we all know the super nerd drummer who stays in his room all of his teenage years practicing his ass off, basically, and his social skills, let's say, are pretty neutralized, and that takes time to develop later. Another thing that I think is very interesting, maybe it's my imagination, I don't know, but sometimes I can tell, like, when somebody's a really good drummer, just by the way they move, by the way they walk. There's something about drumming that gives you a certain grace. I guess it's the same thing as with a dancer. Kind of tell who's a dancer when they're walking down the street. That's very interesting. That what he calls long-term depression. Okay, that other things are depressed while other things are augmented. All right. Okay, so again, in third eye practicing, let's say, if you want to use this in a musical sense, always visualize, put your mind's eye at the point of where you're wanting to improve. You should be able to put it on your right hand on the cymbal, on your left hand on the snare, on your foot on the hi-hat, and your foot on the bass drum. Okay, you should be able to instantly go down there as if you're looking from there out into, well, just at the action of your limbs, right? I found that to be a very, very powerful tool that enhances my performance, especially when I'm away from the kit, okay? Right as I'm about to fall asleep and right when I wake up, I try to put that in my mind, and also I try to hear the exercises in my head. Okay, now, another thing that he talked about, Huberman, was first person learning and third person learning. Okay, well, that's the way he termed it. And what that means is seeing yourself doing the action that you're working on. Like, for example, on a video, that would be third person, like watching yourself doing it in a recording. We all know this from, it's kind of like every musician knows it. You hear yourself in a recording or you see yourself on a video and you instantly improve because you know what works, what doesn't work. You see the motions in your arms and your limbs. You see what's going on. You can tell what fills don't belong where because of the structure, or what's something awkward in the way you move. A variety of things, a multitude of things you can learn from watching yourself playing, okay? On video and listening, of course. And first person is just actually doing the thing, okay? So, I really, really hope that this is going to be something that you do, because it accelerated my learning curve. I mean, I can't tell you how much it just saves me a lot of time, because I can practice this when I'm away from the kit. And not only is it something that we musicians have known for a long time, it's now scientifically proven. I guess he's a professor at Harvard, and they've done all kinds of studies, MRIs, and blah, blah, blah. So it works. It's scientifically proven to work, and we know it works. So I hope it's something you're going to integrate into your schedule. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Please check out my lesson site if you haven't yet. Only $200 gets you the full year program. We have me as a main support in your playing. Okay, thanks for watching. Peace.